right, Miss Aurorah is back. Secured Entrepreneurs. Miss Aurorah is about to have a trust talk with all of you. All right, this is a trust talk. Pay close attention. This is serious. Now, many of you started emailing. Thank you for emailing. Please continue to do so at info@AurorahDayConsulting.com. As soon as the story broke about Faith having to pay her estranged husband, Stevie J, this $1 million in spousal support, that was a big deal. And I'm guessing that it was really a big deal for those of you who actually follow the couple. And I'm hearing that they were on some type of reality TV show. I'm really not sure. I happen to know Faith as the R&B singer. Actually love all of her music, okay? I did not follow the whole marriage and all of that with Stevie J. What I know about Stevie J is his work in the industry, and I understand that he and Eve were an item back in the day, but Eve blew up, and y'all all know that Eve is just living her best life with her billionaire husband, okay? So now, because all of you who emailed were asking Miss Aurorah, why is it that these women are not either getting some type of trust put in place before they marry these men that they make more money than? Why is it that they're not getting any type of prenuptial agreements with these men that they are not making more money than? And then I had a few gentlemen come into the inbox with the whole argument about why is it that women are getting so uptight that men are now grabbing the bag when women have been doing it for years. It's our turn to come up. I'm like, okay, people are totally missing the point. People are totally missing this, all right? So in this video, Miss Aurorah is going to get into the difference between the marital trust and a prenuptial agreement. Okay, can we do that? All right. For those of you who do not know who I am Miss Aurorah Dey, and this is the Secured Entrepreneur Movement. Miss Aurorah told some of you how you all know that I like what is Erica Williams from the Classy Climb. I like what she does over there on her channel. And even she posted something about this story about Faith paying this spousal support, right? So I actually made a comment, and here's my comment. I said, more women are paying alimony today. It just shows how powerful we really are. And hopefully women will begin to choose more compatible mates. Now, how innocent was that of Miss Aurorah to put that there? Check out the response. This gentleman says, the number of men paying women is still 98%. LOL. Mary J, Wendy, and now Faith. And women are going crazy having to pay men when women do it all the time. Now men play the game and it's a problem. And last I checked, Faith got money from Big's estate. And didn't she have a so-called relation with Tupac? Shaking my head. You can't make this up. So now Miss Aurorah's like, I'm really not sure where people are really going, but this is like so off. So I must let the gentleman know a few things. So here's what Miss Aurorah says. Remember that society established the rules for women to be dependent on men for centuries. A woman who inherited an estate was not allowed to keep it unless she had a husband. That's how George Washington got into the original White House. He was penniless, but because his wife needed a husband to keep her father's estate, he got the come up. The reality is that not enough people in this newer generation understand trust law. Many of the alimony cases could be resolved before agreeing to a state marriage license. So yes, of course, more men pay alimony. The woman gives the man a family and essentially works for him. Any man who feels like it is okay to be kept by a woman is not playing a game. He is willfully deleting his masculinity mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Now that's Miss Aurorah's take on it. Whomever wants to come for this tenderoni in the comments about that, feel free. Okay, now Miss Aurorah cannot make out whether this $1 million is one lump sum payment or if this $1 million is a continual payment. This is about all that I have found on this case. I do not have the court documents, okay? So I see this article and it says, following a contentious divorce, singer Faith Evans has agreed to pay her ex-husband, Stevie J, nearly $1 million in spousal support. The couple was married for 3 years, from 2018 to 2021, and did not sign a prenuptial agreement. This meant that they had to go to court to decide how much, if any, spousal support Stevie J was entitled to, which is an indication that we already knew that Stevie J wasn't making any money. Okay, let's just go here. Faith Evans' legal team initially contested the request, but after a protracted legal battle, she has now consented to pay her ex-husband. Legal documents published by Radar Online indicate that Stevie J will receive just over $1 million in spousal support. Some people have criticized the size of the settlement, arguing that it is excessive for a 3-year marriage. However, others have pointed out that Stevie J helped to resurrect Faith Evans' career during their time together by including her in his reality TV projects and writing new songs for her. Ultimately, it seems that a fair resolution has been reached. Faith Evans will be able to afford the settlement, and Stevie J will receive financial support while he gets back on his feet. All right, so we see in the article that the writer saw to it that it was mentioned that there was no prenuptial agreement signed. Now, let Ms. Aurorah explain things to the secured entrepreneurs and those who are stopping by to visit us. Hello. For starters, when it is that you want to have a prenuptial agreement, one of the things that both parties must do is be forthcoming about all of their finances. Both parties must reveal all of their finances, everything that is going on with them financially. Now, if it is found that there was some stuff hiding, there was some things that were not divulged during the time in which this prenuptial agreement was put together and signed by both parties, that prenuptial agreement could be null and void. It can be contested and it can be void, okay? Because it was not truthful when the parties came together to sign. And just maybe there are some individuals who, okay, we want to get married, but maybe we don't really want to tell the other person how much money we've got. And maybe we're really not thinking that we will be divorced. And maybe we're really thinking, if we get divorced, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It could be a variety of things, okay? Now, no, it is not wise, okay, for any person who actually cares about the legacy that they are building, especially if they built it alone, all right, to not have some form of prenuptial agreement, okay? In addition to having full disclosure of the financials of both parties, that prenuptial agreement cannot be signed under duress or coercion. Now, There are many prenuptial agreements that do get contested because a man or a woman will say that, they signed that prenuptial agreement under duress. The person said, they wouldn't marry me unless I signed, I was made to feel fear, all these things. And then also it could be a situation where the person says, really, they were under medical care at the time. They were on a prescription at the time. They really didn't even understand what all was being told to them. They didn't even really have legal counsel. They were really totally not even aware of what they were signing, at the time. Okay. It can be contested. All right. The prenuptial agreement would have to be in written form. All right. Both parties have to agree and both parties have to sign. Okay. The prenuptial agreement will not address child support. It will not address spousal support. It will not address visitation, for children, things like that. It's not addressing those things. It is simply going to address the fact that what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. And I have seen some prenuptial agreements that will state clearly whatever is accumulated within the marriage will be split. Okay, I have seen that as well. Now, you are asking about the marital trust. Listen carefully. Number one, I understand that these individuals do not have children together. Faith has her children, maybe Stevie J has children. Okay, they do not have children together. Now, when a couple is like truly seriously building a legacy together, yes, they will create a marital trust, because a spouse will say, upon my death, I do want my wife or my husband to inherit all of the assets, all of these things tax-free. Okay? I want the surviving spouse to have the ability to be able to take over the estate tax-free. I do not want my spouse to have to go through probate. Okay? And if any of you out here, any of the secured entrepreneurs have ever gone through probate, you know that it can be a total nightmare. And depending on how large of an estate was left, it can go on for a very long period of time. Okay, so the surviving spouse now has the opportunity to not only take over the estate, but everything will be passed to the surviving spouse tax-free. That means that the Internal Revenue Service will not have the opportunity to federally tax any of the assets that belong to the trust that is now being passed down to the surviving spouse for the surviving spouse's use. The marital trust is also very good for, the surviving children as well, because you can always put a clause in there that the surviving spouse has the right to instruct a trustee to make special provisions from time to time for children if a special need arises, and also if both spouses are deceased. Okay, then the trustee can pass the assets over to the children. Okay, and again, not have the worry about probate or the estate having the federal income tax. Okay. The other thing about the marital trust that I think is very, very good is that it is allowing the family to keep the wealth. Okay. It is allowing the family to keep the wealth. We don't need anything going on here with outside this and that. Okay. This is staying in here because we already know that this thing will be more than one entity. This will have maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5, depending on how large the estate is. It will carry on between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other entities. as assets are passing through, okay? And all of the secured entrepreneurs understand what Miss Aurorah just said, okay? All right, so in this case, it appears to me that because Miss Evans has more finances than Mr. J, she did not feel the need to have a prenuptial agreement because, and this is just my opinion, and secured entrepreneurs, please feel free to comment, many women really feel like men are not going to ask a woman to provide for them. Many women are still looking for men to be masculine men, to be men and want to not only care for women, but have the ability to take care of themselves. So I think it's really more of a surprise because there are many women paying alimony, as we know. And it's always like a shock and a surprise that the man actually demands that he gets spousal support. Now, women in society, unfortunately, do not view these men as like men. We don't look at them as like masculine men. We don't view them as, we don't see that. Okay. So a lot of these women, this woman, because you're asking me about this case, okay, more than likely did not think that this man would go there. Okay. However, what you must always understand is that when you have a legal marriage, meaning you have the marriage license, okay, the individual with the largest estate in a divorce will lose. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. The individual with the largest estate will lose, point blank. Okay, and because I know this email is going to come, the marital trust will also not address child support, visitation, and things like that. The marital trust will also not address those things. Now, normally within a divorce, you would have to do a parenting plan if there's children and visitation involved, if you have that marriage license. Now, many people will forfeit the marriage license. They are not interested in having a state govern their union. They are more interested in building wealth together and actually having a union. They don't have an interest in going to a state and basically, asking for permission to build a legacy with the person or to have a marital union with the person. And so what they do is create a series of trusts, okay? And what that means is that the individual who has the largest estate and the individuals that we see do this, okay, would be a man. He has the larger estate. He wants to bring this woman into his estate because that's what a marriage is. You're bringing a person into your estate, right? He wants to bring the woman into his estate. So he creates this trust. And he's already giving the woman things that he knows that she needs, whatever that is. Well, he's providing a home for her. He may be providing an automobile for her. He may be giving her shares of his company if that's what he has. He may be giving her a position in his company if that's what he is going to do. I've seen that happen. He may be giving her an allowance for children. That's very common. We've seen that happen many times. He's giving her an allowance for children that we've seen this a lot. They know they're going to adopt. So he understands that she will be the caregiver. So that's written in that she will get an allowance for caring for a child that is adopted. And then there's provisions made if he precedes her in death. Okay. So these trusts are already put together. And then there's an allowance made if in fact they decide they really can no longer live together. He says, okay, I'm providing an apartment for her, or I'm going to provide a home for her, or I'm going to provide X amount of dollars so that she can go and get a home, or that she can go and buy an apartment. If there's children involved, this is the amount of money that I'm going to provide, because she will have the children either full-time or part-time. Like, these are the things that are already put in place, because these individuals already understand that there's a legacy that has really already been built, and the two people are going to come together and they're going to accumulate more wealth. And so these things are pre-planned, okay? And that is the most intelligent way to really go about doing these kinds of things. So, secured entrepreneurs, you don't have to worry about falling into any type of situation like this. You don't have to be underhanded. You don't have to do anything sneaky or slick, okay? But I'm just saying that from my point of view, I totally get that there are some people who do not want to do prenuptial agreements because they really don't want to talk about their finances. They don't want that information out there because they really don't trust the person that they're marrying anyway. Okay? They really don't trust the person. They want the privilege of being with the person. They want to have relations with the person. They want whatever the person has to offer during the time that they're together, okay? But they really don't trust the person, okay? So I hope that brought some clarity to the table as it relates to the difference between the marital trust and the prenuptial agreement, okay? Now, the other thing, let me just say this because I know this is going to be an email. No, there's no contesting to the marital trust. Understand, please, that the only time a private trust is really contested would be the beneficiaries contesting, coming against the trustee to state that maybe the trustee has mishandled the assets, the trustee has stolen from the trust, things like that, okay, when the trust is private, all right? So let me just clear that up before you start emailing, okay? And the trust clinic is coming. The trust clinic is coming. So I will be putting out more information and letting all of the secured entrepreneurs know when Miss Aurorah is going to go live. I'm going to give a complete trust education. Okay, I'm going to welcome all of the entrepreneurs who have not had the opportunity to take the Trust Basics course. You all will be able to get in on that, and then you will be able to come to the live training, because this year's Trust Clinic will include your opportunity to get in on some private equity. Many of you have been asking about private equity funding and being able to invest in private equity. Ms. Aurorah is bringing you the private equity education. It's just going to be so divine. Okay, so you all know you can find me, Miss Aurorah Dey, at AurorahDayConsulting.com. And until next time,